Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We have got an absolute ton of ground to cover for June 2nd, 2026, so we're going to take a journey right from high-stakes global flashpoints all the way down to some really fascinating local cultural moments. My goal here is simple: cut through the noise. We're going to map out exactly what's happening in the world today, and, more importantly, why it matters to your tomorrow.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with global conflicts, then pivot over to the massive AI financial boom, zoom into some regional crime and politics, and finally, we'll wrap things up with environment and culture. Let's dive right in.
Okay, Section 1, Global Conflicts and Flashpoints. We are starting off in a heightened state of global friction today, specifically looking at maritime escalations and some failing peace frameworks in the Middle East and Eastern Europe. And this situation brilliantly captures just how stark the disconnect really is right now. Think about it. The US military literally just disabled a cargo tanker heading to Iran with a precision strike. But diplomatically, it is a total contradiction. President Donald Trump is out there claiming talks are, quote, going on continuously, basically warning Tehran to lock in a deal. But on the flip side, Iranian officials are explicitly stating that talks are completely paused. The gap between the missiles flying and the microphones at the podium, it literally couldn't be wider. But to really get a grasp on Iran's actions, you have to look at what's happening at home. It is an absolute pressure cooker. At the exact same time they are firing off fresh ballistic missiles, their domestic economy is just in free fall. Newly released financial data shows that year-on-year inflation in Iran has absolutely skyrocketed to levels we haven't seen since the end of World War II. It's a pretty classic geopolitical move, right? Massive external flexing to basically distract from the severe internal financial panic caused by the ongoing U.S. naval blockade. So how exactly is Tehran projecting this power? Well, by tightening its grip on global energy corridors. The Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps Navy just clamped down on the Strait of Hormuz, enforcing incredibly strict transit permits. Get this, they coordinated conditional passage for exactly 24 commercial ships and gave them a strict 24-hour window to make the transit. That is a massive, highly calculated chokehold on one of the single most critical economic arteries on the planet. Tragically, though, the human cost of these fracturing truces is just devastating. Looking at the data from Lebanon, a freshly negotiated ceasefire has completely fractured. Israel accused Hezbollah of launching drones and missiles, and retaliated across Nabatea and Tyre. Near a hospital in Tyre alone, we are looking at 4 dead and 127 wounded, and that includes 39 health workers. And further north, the Russo-Ukrainian war saw highly lethal escalation. A massive Russian missile and drone blitz hit Kyiv, striking a 9-story apartment complex in the Podol district. That left over 20 dead, more than 100 wounded, and caused massive power outages and fires across the region. Now, with all of this severe global instability, you might logically expect the markets to just completely pull back. But actually, scratch that, a totally different narrative is playing out in the tech sector. So how are global markets reacting to the AI gold rush amidst all this geopolitical volatility? That brings us perfectly to Section 2, the AI financial boom. Tech markets are fiercely divided right now between astronomical infrastructure spending and some very real fears of a bubble. The absolutely crucial story today is this massive market divergence. Wall Street's record-breaking run just hit a bit of a wall for Alphabet. Their stock slid 4% right after they announced a surprise $80 billion stock sale to fund AI hardware. Investors are kind of looking around asking, okay, when is this actually going to turn a profit? But on the flip side, wow, look at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Their stock rocketed up over 31.5% because they are the ones actually selling the hardware to meet these surging data center demands, and they're reaping massive rewards right now. So what is driving all this wild panic and profit? It's the global rush towards something called agentic AI. Now, we are way past the days of simple chatbots. Agentic AI refers to highly autonomous systems that can execute complex goals and make decisions entirely on their own without us having to constantly oversee them. It's wild. Global data centers are just scrambling to physically build the infrastructure required for these autonomous agents, and it is literally reshaping corporate budgets overnight. And this massive disruption, it's sending shockwaves straight into legacy boardrooms, for sure. Take Infosys, for example. They just announced the re-election of their 71-year-old iconic chairman, Nandan Nilekani, for a 3rd term. It's fascinating, really. They are relying heavily on a seasoned, veteran executive to steady the ship and handle successions as they try to navigate these volatile share price slumps, triggered entirely by the shift toward agentic AI. All right, stepping away from the macroeconomy, let's zoom into the micro level. Section 3, Crime, Justice, and Politics. Here we're examining high-stakes regional law enforcement and local political races. It has been a remarkably intense 24 hours for global law enforcement across the board. In Muscatine, Iowa, a horrific spree shooting left 7 people dead, including the shooter. Over in San Diego, California, federal authorities uncovered an incredibly elaborate underground drug trafficking tunnel crossing the border. In the Philippines, Senator Jinggoy Estrada and former Secretary Manuel Bonoan surrendered to police over a massive $9.3 million plunder scheme tied to flood control projects. And finally, in the UK, a 23-year-old named Vikram Dugwa was sentenced to life with a 21-year minimum for the tragic murder of student Henry Nowak. It really gives you a sobering panoramic view of the justice system at work globally today. Meanwhile, the U.S. political landscape is sitting at a critical juncture today. Millions of people are casting their ballots in the high-stakes California primaries. This will determine the crucial top 2 candidates heading into November. Obviously, the main spotlight is on the massive battle to succeed Governor Gavin Newsom. But there is also a fierce ideological clash happening for Attorney General between incumbent Democrat Rob Bonta and conservative challenger Michael Gates. The winners today are going to heavily shape the legal and political direction of the nation's most populous state. And that brings us to our final section, Environment, Culture, and Society. Let's take a quick look at some surprising natural phenomena and cultural milestones to round out the day. Over in Japan, authorities are dealing with a threat you might not normally expect: wild bears. Serious emergency warnings have been issued in Fukushima after sudden, violent encounters left 4 people injured. Wildlife officials are saying that Japan's main island is dealing with a rapidly exploding wild bear population, which is forcing local communities to stay on high alert. Let's end on a much brighter note, though. We turn to the UK for a truly fantastic cultural moment. King Charles III officially knighted the celebrated actor and activist Idris Elba at Windsor Castle today. He was inducted into the order specifically, and I quote, honoring extensive services to drama and youth community initiatives. It is just a wonderful recognition of the arts and philanthropy coming together on the world stage. Well, we have covered an incredible amount of ground in this explainer today, from fracturing Middle Eastern truces and military blockades all the way to the explosive $80 billion AI infrastructure race and royal knighthoods. Thank you so much for exploring all of this with me. I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Out of all these interconnected events we've unpacked today, which one do you think is going to have the absolute greatest impact on our world tomorrow? Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.